It is 3 p.m. So I will just start. More people will come later on. We start with the introduction anyway. So yeah, first of all, I would like to thank everyone for participating today in our alumni webinar series. Every year or throughout the year, we host different webinars. Sometimes we invite external guest speakers, and also often we ask our own alumni to participate in this. Today, I have the honor to host this webinar together with one of our MBA alumni from 2021, Derek Meadows. So my name is Michiel van der Water, hard to pronounce. You can also say Michel. I'm originally from the Netherlands, moved to Switzerland to work at SUMAS. I work in the student advisory department, and today I will be giving you a small introduction about SUMAS. And as a guest, as I've said before, we have Derek Meadows. He is the co-founder and head of operations and sustainability at PureWine, a very innovative product for removing products or sulfites and substances from wine that gives you a headache. I leave the rest of the interesting information to him to present about this. So the program of today, we will start with a short introduction. Some of you are new or have not spoken to us yet. So it will take about 7 to maybe 10 minutes about SUMAS. And afterwards, Derek will tell you more about sustainability and entrepreneurship, of course, about this company, PureWine. And we will end the session with a Q&A session. So normally the webinar will take 45 minutes up to 1 hour. So for European time, it will run from 3 to around 4 p.m. today. So quick introduction of SUMAS. SUMAS was founded in 2012 to run as one of the first business schools programs in sustainability management for bachelor's and MBA students. In the meantime, we also developed a master program, and we also run a program for high schools that are connected to the IB organization. Basically, there are international high schools that they also already learn about sustainability. We have 3 campuses. One campus is online and 2 physical campuses. We have one in Gland, which is in between Lausanne and Geneva, on the Lake of Geneva. And we have a campus in Milan. And also you can study online with us. Around 50% of our students attend their masters online, and the other 50% on campus in one of the 2 campuses. So to start with Lake Geneva, that's actually also where SUMAS started. Our headquarters are in the headquarters of the UICN. It's an international organization for the conservation of nature. Not very well known to everyone. Perhaps what is more well known is the WWF. And their building is also open to different companies and organizations that are also busy in the field of sustainability. It's Lake Geneva, beautiful surrounding, as you know, from Switzerland. You can go skiing 1 hour from here. The nature is beautiful in general if you like to go on hikes or enjoy the lake in the summer. Many activities to find here. And probably many of you have been to Milan. So it's a very vibrant and beautiful city. They also have the goal to become more and more sustainable. They have a lot of initiatives going on at the moment. And we are near the fashion district in Milan. So that's the Base Milano, as it's called. There's also the Museum of Culture there. Many fashion companies like Fendi and Giorgio Armani are all in that area. Beautiful, beautiful location. Studying online with us goes via the platform called Moodle, and that allows you to study in an own-paced speed for the master program and for the MBA program, and also for the CAS, which means Certificate of Advanced Studies, which is basically all the major subjects of our MBA program. And the last one is also the hybrid campus, and that means that you can study partially online with us and partially on campus. So one rather obvious question to answer is, why do we do what we do? And basically that is because green talent is in high demand. It's not a trend, it's here to stay. And there are more and more jobs coming in sustainability, and also more and more green skills or sustainable skills are needed. The market for sustainable jobs are growing with around 10% per year, or the demand especially. But actually the people that obtain these green skills is only growing with 5% per year. So there is a bigger and bigger gap existing throughout the years. What is very nice to look into is the Global Green Skill Report. It's a report made by LinkedIn, and basically they give you a good insight on both their vacancy platform and their regular social network platform, where they analyzed the demand and the offering of these green skills, which sectors are primarily important in the sustainable transition. So it's very interesting to have a look at this. Around around October every year, they published a new report. So in October, the 2024 report will come out. So I would highly recommend having a look in these interesting reports. They also, in this report, used the information of the International Labour Organization, and because of the Paris Agreement and also the annual COP meeting last year held in Dubai, they give you insight in the development of the jobs in the green economy, as they're calling it. So another plus point of studying in sustainability is people with green skills are 30% more likely to be offered the job that they apply to, if you compare that to the people without the needed green skills in a certain job offer. So our academic programs, I shortly introduced them before. We have an undergraduate program, which is the Bachelor of Business Administration. It's a 3-year program, and besides that, we have a Master of Arts in Management, the MBA, Master of Business Administration, and the Certificate of Advanced Studies. For all of these programs, we have a specific major. It's the pathway that you choose. The one we started with is sustainability management. It has a wide scope on sustainability, but if you're more interested in following a specific path like fashion or hospitality, tourism, or sustainable finance, also that would be an option to study with us. So SUMAS is accredited by the ACB-SP, and it's an accreditation institute for business schools and business programs. In Switzerland, we are registered at the Privatschule Register, and the CHEA is the council that recognizes accreditation institutes like the ACB-SP. So that's for a short introduction about SUMAS. I'm going to stop share my screen and give you the word of Derek.
Okay. Thank you, Michelle. I will. I can speak to a lot of that. I did not tie in exactly how. Left it open-ended for if anyone has any questions for my experience with SUMAS, so we can get into that. Because I did want to speak about my corporate experience, but then also, I'm here to speak to SUMAS. Overall, very good experience. Highly recommend it. So again, we can circle back with some of those Q&As if you have specific questions for anyone. Just one note on that: if people do have questions, is there a chat, or are you handling that, Michelle?
So in the bar below the screen, there's a Q&A, and everybody can put their questions in there. It can be about the presentation of me, the presentation of Derek. So feel free to ask any question that you might have.
Great. We will, if you could help monitor that as well. I'll just jump in here, and then looking forward to it. So
Great.
Again, reaching out to Michelle, he wanted me to working on how we wanted to craft that. He says sustainability and entrepreneurship, I think, would be some areas I highlight here. And I'll speak to how that has looked in my career incorporated with SUMAS. So myself, Derek Meadows, I am the co-founder of PureWine Inc., which is based in Dallas, Texas. We have several other offices and warehouses within the country, but a U.S. company. You'll see how SUMAS fits in, but I was a graduate in 2021 under a sustainability management degree. Prior to that, I have a bachelor's of science in geology. And recently, last year, I started a consulting firm. Our tagline is ideation to actuation, which helps people scale their entrepreneurial endeavors. And obviously, I have a sustainability focus with that. What's going to be interesting is hear questions how each country is different and where everyone is in their journey, because there's very much lack in the States for sustainability programs. So that was a big need I saw, and that's why I wanted to start that consulting firm. But I'm sure we'll get several questions on these. These are sort of some of our highlights. Most of them, the past couple of years, we were EY, Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year for what we're doing here with PureWine. Since we are located in Dallas, SMU is a big, Southern Methodist University is a big school here, and we've been top 100 fastest growing companies for 3 years in a row. In 2022, we're a State Innovation Award. And then in 2020, I think you guys have heard of a show called Shark Tank. We're actually a participant on that show. It was during COVID, so it was a unique experience. But we did secure a deal, and that was fun. There's a lot to unpack under that. But we can do that in the Q&A if you guys have any specific questions. And so that's me pivoting to PureWine. It was founded in 2014. This is actually by us. That's me, myself, and my father. We were both suffering from wine side effects. There's a genetic component, which we've unpacked, but we're both struggling with the same thing of skin irritations, flushed, insomnia, mild depending on the varietals. And then we set out to figure out what was going on. Had no idea that we were about to stumble on a blue ocean industry of direct to consumer filtration, which is fun to be a part of a blue ocean industry. There's not, I would say, a whole lot of them out there unless it's AI or some tech. We first took our first product to market in 2016. And in doing so, we realized that the issue was much, much bigger than we thought. We knew it affected us and a couple other close friends and family. But the data we come back, and I believe it's true anecdotally as well, that over 50% of all wine consumers have some sort of side effects, whether it's skin flushing, Asian flush, insomnia, heart palpitations, hangovers. A lot of that is due to the same triggers in wine that we've come to pinpoint. A big thing we launched, which is still very unique, is that we're 100% made in the USA. We have not outsourced all suppliers we manufacture from and use and source. The assembly team we built is all based in the United States, which for being an American company, we love China, and everyone goes to China to produce things. But I can touch on that. I don't know if you guys are interested in the manufacturing or engineering, but I'll spare anyone who's those details if they're not. And when we went to the market, we found that there's a huge demand in direct to consumer. The biggest platform in the States is Amazon. So we've been the top wine accessory on Amazon for 3 years in a row now, which has been pretty cool to see. There's a lot of great testimonials out there, and just gives further credibility that we're really touching on an issue that affects a lot of people. Let's see, and as of 2023, yes, we've sold 15 million as of December of last year, 15 million units sold. Actually have a production video that shows how we've scaled our manufacturing. And then a big thing I wanted to highlight here, and Mikhail asked me to highlight it, is the sustainability. So we were able to launch a fully biorenewable plastics, bio-based product line last year. And to credit SUMAS, kind of learning everything I learned there, I wanted to get knowledge base before we launched a biorenewable product line, because there's a lot of greenwashing out there. So looking at the supply chain, realizing what has actually happened, and then using that to base our business decisions and launch a product. So that was that's sort of been my passion project over the past 3 and 4 years. Credit to SUMAS as well. So again, the issue we were both struggling with, we'll first start, who doesn't love wine, right? Wine is great. There's lots of different debates over moderate consumption, how healthy it is. Everyone has different dietary restrictions, different consumer levels, but it's one of the healthiest beverages that's ever been invented, from the antioxidants to the percentage of alcohol to the cognitive and psychological stress reduction, social lubricant, those kind of things. So what we were stumbling on is having a lot of these side effects from drinking wine. If most of you guys are in Europe, it may be a little bit different. You guys regulate your wines quite a bit more than we do in the States. We can touch on that in the Q&A if anyone's interested. But the big thing I wanted to show that I love this quote from Plato. It's everyone uses it, but the true creator is necessity, who is the mother of invention. Just to show people usually don't start out to create something new. They just come across a problem or a pain point, and then that's obviously painful, and they want to try and alleviate that pain or suffering, which creates invention and innovation. So the need was the frustration and pain from wine drinking experiences to try. I was in my early to mid 20s, didn't want to give up wine the rest of my life, so was kind of frustrated with that. And then we rented laboratory space for 2 years to try and figure out how and why these side effects were happening. And we came across that the solution was to remove the noxious compounds that cause adverse side effects. We found out those were the histamines and sulfites. Sulfites, not as much. People usually have an actual allergic reaction, but histamines, especially American wines, especially for certain individuals, can be very triggering for anti-inflammatory responses. Again, we can dive into more of the science, but I'll move along here. So then knowing what the problem was, we want to develop a product so again, we have the problem and then the solution, which you have to have a product to take to market to alleviate the solution, right? And in doing so, we wanted to go, B2B, business to business, where you go to a winery and filter wine on that level, or do we want to go direct to consumer, put the power of choice in the consumer's hands, give them the freedom to choose. And back then, I think we made very much the right call. It was the lower risk option, but we went direct to consumer. We want to develop a product that gave people the options to control if they wanted to filter wine, if they needed to, how long they wanted to. You can also, this device is about 6 inches. I'm not sure how many centimeters that is, but it fits in your purse, your pocket, briefcase. It's very, very, very much on the go. So you can keep with you if you're out at a bar or a restaurant, you can just drop it in your glass of wine. I have a little video here in the next couple of slides. I'll show you that. So we knew direct to consumer was a must. Single use, because the way the resin that actually filters those compounds out, it becomes saturated. So once the compounds are absorbed, think of it like a sponge, you cannot remove those. So it stops being effective after 1 to 2 glasses. So it by definition, it has to be single use. We knew we wanted it to be affordable if we're going direct to consumer. Everyone's very price conscious. If you're priced too high, then no one's going to buy it. Pretty easy answer there. And we knew we wanted to make it self-explanatory. Blue ocean industry, one of the biggest challenges from a marketing perspective is education. So we knew we had to make it very approachable from a consumer usage standpoint. And several other nice to haves that we wanted to incorporate, obviously not musts, but leave the consumer with a more positive experience, is a very aesthetic design. People are design conscious and materially conscious. So that was where we came up with this design here. This is part of our patents that we filed, is this design. We also have utility patents that were important to prove the efficacy. And then, like I said earlier, 100% made in the USA. Just from a, I guess, kind of a philosophical point of view, we could have outsourced, but we also wanted to prove to most Americans that to keep things domestic is also very possible. And this was pre-COVID, and we actually did well during COVID because our supply chain was not messed up like many of the people importing, exporting over the ocean. And, we have containerfuls waiting in the port of Los Angeles for 6 months. We actually were fine during COVID because everything was a very small radius. And that also affects your carbon footprint quite a bit. So here we will dive into, for anyone who is engineering minded, I have a little video on the left here showing, this is our manufacturing line. So one of the ways to make manufacturing affordable in the United States is to take out the highest and most expensive components, which are labor. So in order to remove labor, you have to automate your machinery. So we developed and built and fully funded our own machine production lines here, which were we outsourced them, but we designed and built with a manufacturing engineering group where it requires one person instead of an entire assembly line of people. And that's the resin that's being put in there. So this is how we get it done. We actually have 3 of these production lines now, and you can see the run rate. And that's the making the product side, right? And then all the way through the supply chain to the end side is how this is the user. You put it in your glass of wine like this, swirl it for at least 3 minutes. The ionic resin is positively and negatively charged, and it binds to those sulfites and histamine compounds. They're stuck in that resin, and then when you remove that from your glass, you have a purified glass of wine. So it shows soup to nuts, the entire process to get from the end consumer point of view, walk it back, reverse engineer to the actual production of the goods. So again, knowing that we'd had that for several years on the market, and then coming into it, we knew that there was a shift in the market. People were approaching us like, hey, can you make this more sustainable? Is there green products? You know, I also kind of think that way anyways. But what I highlighted here is that we had to have very much a desire to develop sustainable products. And you can probably speak to that, Mikhail, off of how much desire goes into people who wanting to come to SUMAS with, you know, hey, I have this passion. There's people who are in sustainability, at least right now, are very passionate because there's not a lot of forced choice. Or what do I want to say? There's not a lot of regulation forcing people to become sustainable. If you're in sustainability, it's usually from a very strong personal conviction or a desire, wanting to do something right or better, or you see a need, and that was us as well. We wanted to, again, innovate, continual innovation. People who innovate, their brains can't stop innovating. There's always that next thing that you want to try and work on. But seeing that was potentially lining up with the supply and demand curve, materials were becoming cheaper, market demand was increasing, so it was kind of getting to this point where it might be viable to develop a sustainable product line. And then that led me to lots of research and finding schools, because I didn't want to go out there blind. I also wanted to have a degree behind me if I'm speaking as some sort of authoritative person about this. You know, you can't just have opinions, you need to have proof of education and that you've actually validated your opinions with some academic resource. And that's where I found SUMAS. It was during COVID, so I did a fully online program. I kind of wish it wasn't, so I could go to Geneva now. That looks beautiful. And I can speak to that again, what my SUMAS experience was. But that, you know, I did the online degree for, I think, 18 months, and then came away with just a huge knowledge base and expertise. Also a big database of people I could talk to and bounce ideas off of, which was very helpful. And that led us to launch our sustainable product line, which very excited about. It's getting a lot of traction. We launched it fall of last year. It took a while to get suppliers locked up, negotiating supply chains, negotiating pricing, material volumes, and what this is. So a big highlight we have here, I think you can see my cursor, is biomaterials. So we've sourced the plastic here is sourced from sugarcane and corn-derived bioplastics. If anyone's a scientist, it's PLA plastic. We also, the little sachet, the fabric of the one that houses the resin was something we needed to have certain mechanical properties, and there was nothing on the market to have those. It had a certain micron screen, I would say, ability to wick wine in between the fabric. So it has to be hydrophilic, and it also has to have a certain diameter, a size of screen porosity. So we had to develop that with our supplier. That's what spent the longest amount of time. That was a material that was previously never invented before. So we had to invent new material in order to have the certain properties and efficacy of what we needed to work for our device from the manufacturing level that you saw. Another thing that is actually pretty easy and everyone can do it, at least, you know, in the States. I don't know where other supply chains lie, but being 100% recycled paperboard, that was actually cheaper than using virgin paper and sourcing straight from paper mills. You do lose a little bit of the properties in terms of you can't have a bleached white paper. It does come out in sort of this sort of gray beige color because it's recycled materials, but that was also a big win. So all of our packaging is fully recycled, and all of our plastics that are used in this are 100% bio-based. The bio-base is sugar cane and corn, as we highlighted here. And I know a question is, what is the cost of doing this? The cost is slightly higher, but this is MSRP. We usually do with Keystone, where whatever your COGS are, your cost of goods sold, you double that to get your MSRP price. Or your wholesale price. So we price this about 15% over current product line. That's for two reasons. One, because the costs of the materials are still slightly higher, coming down as more material is available, but higher. We also wanted it to not interfere as much with our current product line. We wanted it as a line extension for people who are sustainability, biorenewable, the market is low cost, lifestyles of health and sustainability. If they're minded that way, then that product is for them. We also applied for again, the aesthetic side. People who are consumers are often very design sensitive. We were awarded a Green Good Design from the Sustainability Chicago Museum of Architecture and Design. That was pretty cool. It's actually our design firm who did that without us knowing it. So we got all these awards in the mail, and we're like, surprise. So that was a fun day to get those. And then, yeah, so this was a big passion project. Love that it's there, getting a lot of traction from big retailers in the United States, because we're all sort of, the industry's catching up to this and we're already ahead of it. So we have a huge advantage for wine accessories or any other type of pseudo competitors. We already have it fully developed, and a lot of people are just now sort of thinking about it, trying to get something on market. So that has been good to be ahead of the curve. And then let's see here. Last slide I wanted to speak to, and again, we can leave it on this or come back to it, but any of you who are entrepreneurial minded, here's several of the things that I think are important to highlight. Again, if you're not, then stay in your lane, do what you're going to do, go major in your major. But if you want to start something or thinking of starting something, I spoke with numerous SUMAS students while I was a student who are trying to get enough information and education to start their own endeavor. These are several of the important things I've learned over the years off of what helps make your entrepreneurial endeavor a success. And I would say the number one is relationships, building relationships. Everything is relationships, from suppliers to manufacturers to the customer to your own interpersonal dynamics within your company. If you don't get along with your employees or your employer, then you're not going to really be nearly as efficient. When you're not as efficient, you lose money, you lose time, you usually lose respect for each other. The willingness to learn the unknown, that's huge for people who want to innovate. If something's not yet existing, no one knows about it. So you have to be very, very much a self-starter and wanting to learn new things and always reading white papers, scientific journals, education. On that, though, you can be willing, but not able. You also have to be able, at the end of the day, to deliver on the product, to deliver on a business idea, a business model, finances. You have to come up with the money if you're starting a company. And along with that, in order to have the ability and deliver on something, you have to get creative. So it's kind of this cycle of willing, able, and creativity to find the final solutions. When you have that final solution, you also have to be adequately funded. Everything, it needs money and requires money. The people, planet, profit. Big three is very important. Nothing can go anywhere without proper funding. Again, where that funding comes from is very, very, very open-ended for anyone, assessing personal or corporate or venture capital. There's lots of ways to get creative with funding as well. And then whenever you get down to it and you're trying to build a company, don't do everything. Don't wear all the hats, live in your strengths. And then I put outsource your weaknesses, which means to give those off to other people or partners who, again, I had no idea how to develop a manufacturing line in engineering. We had several people in the company who did, but we also had to go to the specific engineers who knew how to do that, or marketing. I'm not a marketer. We had to find a marketing group who knew how to pivot a wine accessory and create a message around it and educate. So that's find all these different pieces. So it's like a puzzle. You have all these different puzzle pieces you put together, and you slowly start bending them. But as you put them together, the puzzle piece changes and shifts, and then you have to reattach it. So it's really a never-ending puzzle. One thing I did want to highlight is if you are going to start something, there is going to be very painful moments. There's going to be stressful and anxiety-inducing moments. One thing you're going to have to figure out is how to have healthy pain management, whether that's talking with people or having bucketing things. There's all these different, life tactics on how to manage stressful pain points, but you have to anticipate it's going to be stressful and painful and really terrible days sometimes, but there's also very amazing days. And we've developed something that has never existed before. It's a 9,000-year-old problem. We're the first to ever figure out what to do about it, which is a pretty cool feeling. Which kind of correlates to the final point here is don't begin any venture alone. In my consulting group, I advise everyone to have a minimum of 3 people to start a company. Just again, because we are humans who have certain strengths and certain weaknesses. We also are very social. Social capital is a thing. So having people and you can exponentially enhance. And it's also lonely and it's tough to do it alone. So it's not fun. So it's a lot more fun to have friends or family or someone else, coworkers you can start something with. So those are kind of there's obviously many, many more points, but those are ones I wanted to highlight. And then we have questions. So this was a fun little graphic we had from the Shark Tank experience. And that takes us to the end. Michelle?
Thank you so much, Derek. That was very nice and insightful, and great to hear the whole story. And congratulations on 10 years of existence. Or when is that exactly?
So we founded the company in 2014. So we're on 10 years. We launched our first product, which kind of is, when we really count as being on market was 2016.
Okay.
So, yeah, 8
But,
years. But we founded the company.
Yeah.
2014.
Nice. Great. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's start with continue with the Q&A. So again, in your Zoom screen, there is the Q&A possibility, and there you can drop all your questions that you might have. We have the first question, and that is from, there's no name, an anonymous attendee. Thank you very much for your question. The question is, were the projects that you did whilst being in school helpful to your business?
Let's see if I read this here. Were the projects you did whilst in school helpful to your business? Again, my school degree was MBA in sustainability management. There was a lot, I kind of thought I knew basic business and everything. There was a lot. We dove deeper into a lot of different categories than I was expecting. Challenging. I would say it was more challenging than I thought it was going to be. But as a whole, I guess what I'm trying to say, you get as much out of it as you're willing to put into it. So if you're willing to learn something new, or for projects you have to come up with your own self, you do something that's going to challenge you. So the projects that I chose to do for each class, with each topic, whether it's accounting or marketing or name whatever else, I chose to do ones that were going to challenge me. Again, for whatever reason, why I choose to do that all the time, I don't know. But it was something that, so every class I took, I 100% got something out of from the projects. There was lots of basic information, and SUMAS is great about that. On Moodle, I still have all my slides and every single document I ever downloaded from the school in a folder, but they just have tons and tons and tons, more than you could ever read in one school semester. Just an immense database of resources, how to approach all these different websites that I'd never heard of, all these different journals or ebooks or things that, again, I would never find on my own. So it's just a great resource to have, present lots of information. And then again, what you do with that is usually up to the individual, and then you have to obviously apply it to your curriculum for the class. So I hope that answered your question. but yeah, I'd say well, I can probably speak more into that. For SUMAS, I think the biggest thing I learned that would apply, let me go back to the slides, is probably related to, again, it didn't teach me much about engineering or product development. It did teach me a lot more about, they do speak quite a bit to the innovation off of like the big picture thinking of why start a company, how to frame, how to create a need, a demand, a market segment, a blue ocean industry. They're really theoretical, which is good. You have to start big picture and macro at some point. But the getting into the nuances and the details, that's a little bit more specific to every person. So I wouldn't say it dove into that very deeply, because you can have fashion, you can have construction, you can have manufacturing, CPG. But that's kind of where I took SUMAS. Again, it's a good relationship of having structure and then allowing the student to have freedom to take that where they want to go with their lives and their passions and their desires. But again, the big thing here is just the knowledge of what sustainability means. Teaching people planet profit, teaching ESG, teaching the basic structurings of how to form a way to approach sustainability for your company and yourself.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, great. I think that should answer the question.
Very good.
Any other questions from the crowd regarding the courses, regarding the company? Do you sell also in Europe? Do you sell worldwide, or is it?
We had our first shipment to Amazon UK, which Amazon United Kingdom fulfills everywhere in the EU. We just in January. So as of this year, we are, if you go to Amazon, you can have Amazon ship everywhere. But we're looking to establish, that's a big objective for this year's international partnerships. So brick and mortar retail usually comes after e-com. E-commerce is much easier to fulfill quicker. And then, as we build up awareness and development, we can start developing retail relationships. So if any of you guys is in the retail space, please reach out. I'd love to talk about that.
It's a great invitation. There's a question from Vicky. And that says, can you tell us about the pre-college program for high schoolers? That's a question for me. So a pre-college program for high school, do you mean with that sort of a pre-bachelor program? Because in Europe, normally when you finish your high school or grade 12, I think in the US you also have grade 12 grades, correct? Or do you have 11?
In the US, we have 12. Yeah, 12 right before college, university.
Yeah, so basically in Europe, or especially at SUMAS in this case, after graduation from high school, you can start in our bachelor program. To start, we ask you for a letter of recommendation from the high school. We ask for a motivation letter, the general personal information, and the diploma and transcripts, of course. So those are the entry requirements for our bachelor. So that would mean that you, of course, have to finish the high school itself. And then we have a question from Marilia. Hi, I have a question for Michelle about internships. In the last year of study, is there any bridge to connect an internship directly with companies in different segments? So I will answer that question. And then there is also a question for Dirk. So during our on-campus program, you will actually work together with companies, because companies approach us to work together on issues or challenges that they face, or they want to develop their current sustainable activities. So we work together with the World Wildlife Fund. We work together with a big supermarket chain and bank and insurance company called Migros in Switzerland. We have worked with Barilla, with tons of different companies that you work with on campus. So you do get introduced to different companies and to different business people throughout the curriculum. We also host a career week where mainly we invite alumni and professionals that work in sustainability to give you sort of guidance into the field. But if you would like to do an internship or work within a company, it's most common in Switzerland or Italy to apply at those companies yourself. And then for Derek, is there a lot?
If that's, I'll handle
Yeah.
my part of the question, Michelle. Let's see. Is there a lot? What is it? Is there a lot of loss of money during investments? Thank you for your mission. It was inspiring. Is there a lot of loss of money? I wouldn't say a lot. It depends how you define loss. You're taking in money, outside investments, to reinvest in assets, essentially. So in business, in funding, in research, in patents. So you have attorney fees, which are a huge part of starting a company. To me, I view that as a loss, but that's helping you create patents and filing. You lose that money. That money's gone, but you now have the thing that you put the money into, whether it's a manufacturing line. We now have machines. We now have a patent. We now have, which is investing. And what that does is that also values your company. So you take the money, put it in, create value in your company. Shares of your value of the company go up. And that could be more than the amount of money you put in. So essentially you're making money, not cash, not liquid, but you're creating investments. So you're increasing the value of the money that is put in, but you no longer have those dollars. But yes, it does take quite a lot of capital. Maybe that's a better way to put it, is capital to start a company, especially a manufacturing CPG company. There's other industries where it's not as much, but that's something you have to be very sober about, is the amount of money it's going to take to start an entrepreneurial endeavor. You can't really not have enough money. It's very easy to be underfunded. So I can speak to that and how much more that was, but I think you just wanted sort of a broad answer.
Okay, I think that's those are all the questions that we have received. Anything to add from your side, Derek?
I don't think so. This was a great experience, Michelle, and thank you for the opportunity. Very enjoyable. I love kind of reconnecting with SUMAS and seeing where things are now. So again, for anyone on there, the alumni part, and you guys, I've noticed you guys are doing a lot more for marketing, sort of postgraduate alumni work, and I appreciate all the work you guys are doing in that. Just trying to create boards and conversations, job postings. There's lots of job postings for graduates. So anyone out there, they do a good job of just communicating. Is that kind of a field you're in, Michelle, or is that someone else?
So yeah, it's partially my division indeed, but I work with a team of 3 to activate together with the alumni. Also, this alumni webinar series is, for this year, it's the first one, but we really want to give a platform to the people that have studied with us, and that can be corporate. In this case, it's an entrepreneurial webinar, but we really try to give a platform to our students to also show them potential students what they could be doing later on. Because of course you can read a lot online, but it's more tangible if you ever actually have a presentation from people in the field. So that's what really makes it great, and it's a great combination to also put people in contact with each other. So yeah, we really try to activate our alumni in our general partners, leads, other alumni. We will try to connect everyone together.
Yep, that's great. Yeah, you guys are doing really good work there. I just wanted to give you props and commend you for that. Thank
you very much. That's great to hear.
Yeah, you keep this UMass word going, and it's that over the years that builds up and adds up.
Yeah, that's thank you so much. Yeah, so yes, the last words. I would like to thank everyone for attending. This presentation is recorded, so you can watch it back afterwards. You will receive a link to see it. I will also share it with you, Derek. And it's one of many to come. So keep an eye out for your inbox. We tend to do every month one webinar with one of our alumni. So it's keep an eye on your inbox, and we would love to see you in the future. And if you are an alumni and you would like to present, or if you're a business professional, please feel free to reach out to the email address that you registered to and you got the confirmation from. So I'm happy to get in touch with you. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, everyone, and good luck with your sustainability journeys, everyone. Again,
Exactly.
you can reach out to me on LinkedIn if anyone has questions for me specifically. I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
Perfect. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your days. Bye-bye.